to the Maize Plus Pig Farmer, and it's February, and we have piglets. We have 313 of them. They are tiny. This is thanks to Enhanced Animal System. We also have snow, and these little fellas and girls are eating us out of everything and consuming ridiculous amounts of water. Also, thanks to Enhanced Animal System, they are virtually worthless. So we're going to skip ahead to March. You can see we are getting a half decent amount of manure and slurry, but skipped ahead to March. They're now worth 40 to 50 pounds each, and between them they've consumed about 24,000 litres of food over the course of the month. So they have got to go. So we're going to lease an animal trailer and get these sold. It would appear that the value of piglets has maybe been adjusted since the last time I looked at them with Enhanced Animal System. Just quickly, in terms of planting crops, we can plant our sugar beets now, and then next month we can plant the corn and the carrots. But yeah, back to the piglets. I'm sure when I first looked at Enhanced Animal System, the value of piglets reduced by about 25% because they still eat just as much. But they have taken a massive hit now. I think at birth they're worth something like a tenner, and then it increases. So, yeah, that kind of messes up the maths quite a lot that I did. So my plan, as we stand at the moment, we're going to play through the rest of the year as I planned, see how we get on with the with balancing it out. So I asked last time about whether we use the homebrew production or the BGA. The responses were the BGA because the homebrew seemed a little bit too cheaty. So we're going to get the BGA stuck in today. We've got a decent amount of manure and slurry to put through that, so that's going to bring some more cash in. And I am curious to see how things look at the end of a 12-month cycle of having the piglets and selling them, selling the manure and slurry, versus if we just sold crops. That's kind of my metric of, if we'd just sold the crops, how much would we have made versus raising the animals and the cost of the animals and all that kind of thing. So yeah. Let's sell our first trailer load of piglets. They look kind of ridiculous in there, but that is what, 572 pounds. I'm going to do a whole load of these off camera now because there's a lot of them. And I'll come back to you once they are all mostly sold. So yeah, we have a lone solitary piglet left to load up, and the money's gone up a little bit. Not a lot though. So yeah. Yeah, so that'll be my metric for the end of the year. I am tracking the accounts, obviously. I'm a little bit skeptical about some of the numbers that I've got later on. So, but my main metric is going to be the income from the animals and the BGA versus, obviously, we've got a record of all the crops that we grew, what they would have been worth. So, yeah. So, lone piglet off to go to the happy retirement farm. Yeah, the value of these piglets is not massively off. I do want to say that. So let's just have a look quickly at how much we made. So we got £13,580 selling our 300 odd piglets. And yeah, I had a quick Google search, and a weaned piglet, which I think is about 8 weeks old, in the UK goes for somewhere around, I think, 50 to 80 pounds. So it wasn't a million miles out. So yeah, I think it just keeps going with that. Pigs are hard to make money from, certainly in game. I have my washing machine running in the background. Hopefully you can't hear that. I am downstairs. So picked out a spot for the BGA. The placement of this does not go super smoothly, but it goes. So, and I've added in the lumberjack mod so we can just obliterate some trees, basically. I have no interest in trying to sell the lumber from them or anything like that. I just want them gone so that we can make use of a corner of the land that we own to squeeze a BGA in. We are going to have to come, yes, autumn next year, squeeze in the pellet production so we can turn the sugar beets into beet pellets with the new feeding plan that we've got for next year. But I do think once we've done, so I'm expecting that we will fit in one more batch of piglets from the food that we've got. My plan then is to, I'm hoping that I can do this relatively smoothly. I might have to do some stuff in the background in the XML. I'm going to remove enhanced animal system. So that will readjust the value of the animals. That will put us back to a single piglet, which means we might be able to have more pigs, because feeding those 300 odd piglets was painful. And we'll see what the second year looks like. So yeah, mini BGA going in. So as it stands, that's my plan. Obviously, plans don't survive first contact. This one didn't. But yeah, my plan at the moment is we will continue as we are, kind of playing with this setup. We'll do another chunk. So we'll get through to, I think it'll work out about right that we will have harvested the next phase of crops when we have the next set of piglets. We'll get those sold. We'll put the products through the BGA. Speaking of BGAs, it's in. It's not perfect. The edge of the field here is kind of screwed up where I placed it. I might end up painting some of that out so I don't keep trying to drive over it and plant it. Doesn't go well. But it's in. It's functional. So let's jump in the tractor, grab the trailer, get the manure in, and then need to get a trailer to move the slurry. And so we're having to spend a bit more at the moment. And that's a bit of an issue because it's hitting into our very limited income. In fact, we've spent more than we've made so far. But, you know, that's the thing. Had a couple of comments on the last video, actually. So the first one was a really useful one, and you'll see the effect of that later in that. One of the things I'm tracking is the value of the kit that we own. And I'm sorry, I'm really bad with the names of most of the people that comment. But someone pointed out that if I take the stuff to the store, I'll get 10% more. Have been and checked that, and that's correct. So you'll see that value jump up. So our loss is not quite so much. The other comment was people are enjoying this and want to see it run for a reasonable length. So we'll see how it goes. It's quite time consuming to make these videos. So we'll see how we get on with that. One thing is the bit where I'm tracking the value of the kit. I probably will buy more stuff than I would maybe have done if this is going to run longer. I'm definitely considering, even though it's quite a small farm, getting a second tractor so I can double up on some work. I had a weird moment actually. I tried to get Courseplay to do the ploughing. So although this field that's going to get sugar beets in it doesn't need ploughing, I need to plant it, and I don't have a cultivator, so I figured we might as well plough it and then plant into that. And for some reason Courseplay kept telling me that the tractor was out of fuel. It was quite low on fuel, so because I was kind of confused, I F12'd some fuel in, and it ran for like 2 meters and said it's out of fuel. So kind of closed the game and reloaded to wipe out me cheating fuel in, and then just did the job myself. But yeah, I never had that problem with this. I've used this tractor a fair bit on other saves and never had a problem with it working with Courseplay. Whether I had some Courseplay settings wrong, I didn't really dive into it deeply. I was kind of doing it when I was a bit tired, and I just wanted to actually stick the laptop in the corner and let it work, and it didn't work out that way. So yeah, kind of need to look at that, because that would help me if I could let Courseplay do some of the work for me. Because for me, the interesting stuff with this is the results of the actions, rather than the doing of the actions. So yeah. What else? So we're buying the slurry tanker. So this is the tanker that I use on the Valley of the Old Farm. I installed a bunch. Made some really, really cheap options. Like this guy, like the wooden one next to it, which is like 800 quid. But I figured they were all a little bit too small. I'm going to spend a little bit of time faffing, as I always do, looking at it. But the Lizard Tank 10,000 is the one I end up going for. It's a really good value tank, actually. It's like 10,000 litres, 8.5 grand. Holds most stuff. So yeah, that's what I'm going to end up buying once I've finished faffing. So bear with me while I faff for a bit. My usual decision paralysis going on. And I guess regulars, Farm Sim content's been a bit sporadic this week. It might be next week as well. Things are quite busy, and in the evenings when I usually play Farm Sim, finding I'm exhausted with all of the mental health stuff, or not really mental health stuff, neurodivergent stuff that I'm kind of processing a bit more, and work and things like that. I'm just really tired in the evenings, and I'm finding it harder to be awake enough to play video games constructively. So yeah, putting like I said, these videos take quite a few hours. Having enough hours in the day to play Farm Sim in a constructive manner to make a good video for you guys is proving difficult. So yeah, that's why there's only been, I guess if you're a patron, there's been 5 Farm Sim videos this week. If you're not, there's been 4. Plus the stream replay, 5. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like it's, I don't know. Just explaining, I guess. I'm finding that generally, you know, the process of making some of the other videos that I make is much easier, and they don't take the amount of time that it does to make a Farm Sim video. So anyhow, slurry going into the BGA. So we've got, I think it was, fact we're about to see, 25,000 litres of manure and basically 20,000 litres of slurry. So we'll get both of those processing. Sorry, I must say my words correctly. And the plan, we will sell the electricity and the methane. Again, I asked Google how I say that word. It's methane. So yeah, we'll get those sold. The digestate, we don't get I was going to use it to fertilise some of the fields this time. We're not going to get enough for that, but next time we will do that, because it's essentially, you know, kind of some free fertiliser. I don't think it's worth selling. I'm not going to put it through another production because that starts to get a bit cheaty, I think. I have done it in the past, you know, put digestate through a dryer to get fertiliser, but most of those are verging on the levels of cheatiness that the homebrew production was that you guys didn't want me to use on this, which is cool. You know, I'm trying to keep this away from a level of cheatiness. You know, there are games we could play with feeding animals. We could not feed them all of their food. As long as their health is high enough that they're reproducing, maybe that's okay. But ultimately, I'm trying to do it with a level of, I'm not sure what the right word is. Like I think I said last time, the way your average Farm Sim player would play it when they're playing with maizeplus. And so yeah, got this field run over with the mulch plower. We're going to get ourselves a planter. I'm going to buy the planter. Probably I shouldn't be buying kit. I should probably be leasing most of the kit because it's dead value. And we could maybe have brought more land to grow more crops, to have more animals. Hey, I'm not saying that I'm doing this perfectly. I'm doing it the way you can do it. So it's always been one of my dilemmas with doing things like this, that, you know, it's really hard to do something like this super optimally. And in a way, optimally would probably be not buying any fields, just having the pig farm and buying the cheapest food that I can possibly buy. But that's not so much fun. This is a nice balance of me having fun running a reasonable sized farm, and yeah, next sort of animal farming cycle year thing, we will be buying in some of the food, because I do plan to use some brewer's grain. I found there's a workshop in here. Unfortunately, the plough doesn't fit through the door, but we can at least repair the tractor. So I'm going to probably, just to save space on the farm, I'll probably put in one of each of the buy points that comes with maizeplus somewhere on the map, so we can go to them and buy stuff. So I'm going to be using brewer's grain when/if we don't have enough canola next year. And then if we go into a third year, I think we'll try and optimize even more, in that we'll probably, the food routes where we can buy cheap food as part of maizeplus, so things like brewer's grain is really cheap. I'm pretty sure, so this is the plant we're going to buy. It's the Agromaz Falcon 3 Plus. I think it's a 4. So it's a 4.5 meter seeder. When you ask VCA, it says it's a 4 meter, and it looks about right at 4. So soft mod hub. Yeah, so brewer's grain, I'm pretty sure, was fairly cheap to buy. We'll check all of these anyway. Beet pop, I think, is really cheap to buy. I remember that from doing stuff on Attingham way back when. So I think what we'll probably do is maybe try and optimize if we get to a third cycle, in that we will use our farmland to grow the feed groups that are expensive for us to buy, and the feed groups that are cheap to buy we will buy in, and see if that lets us have more pigs. And I'll probably be doing that. So we're going to remove enhanced animal system after this cycle, and what that I'm hoping will let us do is basically produce more manure and slurry to put through the BGA, essentially. The other game we might play at that point is having a separate pen for the piglets, and we might do some games about letting them forage in the woods for a bit. You can't see me doing air quotes, and then fattening them up to sell them. That's a technique that I've used in the past, so we might need to buy a bit more land, but you can kind of fence off an area next to this field. They can go and forage in the woods for their feed, and drink rainwater, and then we'll bring them in to fatten them up to sell them once they're older, if you understand my meaning. That obviously means we wouldn't get the outputs from them, but their inputs would be, shall we say, significantly cheaper. So this is just me faffing about with VCA. I think the 4 meters that it estimated was actually correct. I don't think it's actually a 4.5 meter planter. It might be like 4.2, something like that. I couldn't be bothered to check in the i3D file. I just went with 4 in the end. I am probably not going to bother rolling the rest of the crops we have to plant. They're all crops that, in my mind, shouldn't be, because they're all crops that are planted in, I guess they're not quite ridges, but they're ridged textures. Maybe they should be. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't feel like I'd be bothered when I finished recording this video. I'm really tired today, this week. I guess if you're just watching this because you've just found the channel, had some mental health challenges last week. Not really kind of mental health challenges last week, and went to the doctors this week about them. Been talking about them a bit in some videos, and that combined with dealing with that and processing that and talking to people about that is quite mentally tiring. So I'm quite tired. I'm glad it's the weekend. Although there's a lot going on this weekend. There's a lot going on this weekend. Have a lot of travelling and jobs to do. And that's why there was no English stream on Friday evening. I'm helping my daughter move back from university over the weekend, so time is short. Need fuel for the tractor. I decided rather than spending money on a diesel tank, we would just come up to the fuel station, just buy the fuel as we need it. Saving on an expenditure. And one of the things I've done in the accounts, which you will see in a bit, is let's say the buildings that I bought, which is basically the manure pit and the BJ. I've added those in as assets because if we sold the farm, we would have to sell those buildings. I've not accounted for all the other buildings. Everything's processed through the BGA, so we're going to set the electric charge and the methane to selling. Just methane, really. So we'll just skip over the hour. So we go from 92,000 to 115,000 pounds in the bank, which is not too bad, is it, for some poo and some liquid poo? So I think it's about 25 grand, 23 and a half. It's more than we got for selling the piglets. So yeah, back to finishing up planting this field. You might have noticed when I had the map view up that we're skipping a lot of spots. I'm not sure if that's the planter, the tractor, or the field. So at this point, I'm just accepting it. We'll see what it looks like when I've done the other fields, and maybe if we end up getting a different tractor, we might see if it's any different on that or not. Or I might just do some tests off camera. But it seemed to be skipping some spots. It's not enough that it's going to massively impact the yield. So I think the yield's going to be pretty insane off of this field. Anywho, well, so that's the field planted. Let's have a little look at the accounts, shall we? So you can see that, yeah, there are some missed spots. They're not bad enough that I'm worried. They almost look like the old FS19 seasons crop withering, don't they? Yeah. Anywho, right, so what I've done is we've got the numbers from last time, and then I've got running totals for where we are now, which is halfway through March, and then the differences. So I spent about 30 grand on vehicles. So that's the water tank and the planter, pretty much. Some leasing costs, building maintenance, seed and fert for doing this field. Miscellaneous was, I can't remember, bits and pieces that we had to pay for. Building the BGA obviously cost us a bunch of money, and you can see massive jump in water cost for those piglets. And then our income, which was like 36 grand, 37 grand for the first set of output. So yeah, not awesome, really, not awesome. So cash went down. We're about 60 grand down from where we were at the end of October, even though we've sold the piglets and had the BGA income. The value of the piglets that we've got has gone up. So even though we've still only got the 30 piglets, because they're older, they're worth more. Not too bad. So 60 grand less cash, but 7.5 grand more value in piglets. I say the numbers for equipment value have gone up a bit because I've accounted for taking them to the store. So it's a 10% increase. So the 201 is a bit higher than it was last time. And we've got about 20 grand more. So we spent 30 grand. It's given us 20 grand's worth more of kit. And we've got, asset wise, we've got about £32,000 worth of buildings for the 65 grand that was spent. You get about half the value. So with the recalculation, we were about 88 grand down last time. It was, I think the number was about 110, but with redoing the vehicle assets and adding in the building value, it's about 88 grand. We're now about 96.5 grand down. So we are more in debt, mainly because we had to build the VGA. So hopefully, probably not next time, because next time we're going to be getting the rest of the crops planted. I don't know. I might get further through. I'm not sure, but kind of next selling period, hopefully we'll be reducing that number. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Hope you're still finding this interesting. Clearly, we're not making a profit yet. I kind of knew it was going to be hard. I hadn't expected it to be this hard. I was expecting to make more off of the piglets. I can't remember the value of the crops that we had, but I have got the numbers to be able to work that out. So when we get to the point that we've sold the second batch of piglets, we will do that maths. Don't think it's looking great at the moment. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, click the like button. Comments, questions, suggestions, thoughts on my plans going forwards, stick them below. And see you next time. Bye.